Question 1. A Scrum team finds that sprint retrospective discussions often lack depth, and team members are hesitant to voice concerns. What action should the Scrum Master take? A. Take notes and share them with management to ensure accountability for improvements. B. Direct the team to focus only on positive aspects to build morale. C. Facilitate the retrospective to ensure a safe and open environment for constructive feedback. D. Implement a strict time box for each team member's input to speed up the process. Answer: C. Facilitate the retrospective to ensure a safe and open environment for constructive feedback. The Scrum Master's role during a sprint retrospective is primarily to facilitate the event, ensuring it is productive and within the time box, and that a safe environment exists for the team to openly discuss what went well, what could be improved, and how to adapt. Creating psychological safety is crucial for honest feedback, allowing the team to identify meaningful improvements without fear of blame. For example, a Scrum Master might use anonymous feedback tools or specific facilitation techniques to encourage participation. Remember, the Scrum Master helps the team improve its processes, not just report on them. Question 2. What is the primary purpose of the daily Scrum? A. To report progress to stakeholders and management. B. To inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary. C. To assign new tasks to team members for the day. D. To review the product backlog items that will be worked on in future sprints. Answer: B. To inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary. The daily Scrum is an internal event for the developers, primarily aimed at inspecting their progress toward the sprint goal and adapting their plan for the day, or future days, to optimize their chances of achieving that goal. It is not a status meeting for stakeholders, rather, it is a quick sync-up for the developers to coordinate their work and identify any impediments. For instance, if one developer is blocked, the team can replan to help them or reallocate tasks. Always think of the daily Scrum as a planning meeting for the developers, by the developers. Question 3. During a sprint, the developers realize they will not be able to complete all selected product backlog items by the end of the sprint. What should they do? A. Inform the Scrum Master, who should then extend the sprint duration. B. Ask the product owner to remove items from the sprint backlog. C. Collaborate with the product owner to renegotiate the scope of the sprint backlog items, if possible, without compromising the sprint goal. D. Work overtime to ensure all items are completed as initially planned. Answer: C. Collaborate with the product owner to renegotiate the scope of the sprint backlog items, if possible, without compromising the sprint goal. When the developers encounter unforeseen challenges and realize they might not meet the sprint goal, the appropriate action is to collaborate transparently with the product owner. They should discuss the situation and, if possible, renegotiate the scope of the sprint backlog items without jeopardizing the sprint goal itself. The sprint goal remains paramount and fixed, but the product backlog items within the sprint backlog can be adjusted. For instance, if a feature is too complex, they might agree to deliver a simpler version that still meets the goal. This approach ensures team ownership and protects the sprint's integrity. Question 4. Which Scrum value emphasizes the importance of the Scrum team and its stakeholders being open about the work and any challenges? A. Focus. B. Respect. C. Openness. D. Courage. Answer: C. Openness. Openness is a core Scrum value that highlights the importance of transparency within the Scrum team and with stakeholders regarding all work, progress, and challenges faced. This transparency fosters trust and allows for timely inspection and adaptation. For example, openly discussing impediments or progress allows for early identification of issues and collaborative problem solving. Embracing openness means being prepared to share the good, the bad, and the uncertain, which ultimately strengthens collaboration and builds a more resilient team. Question 5. Who is responsible for ensuring the sprint goal is understood and articulated to the Scrum team? A. The project manager. B. The Scrum Master. C. The product owner. D. The developers. Answer: C. The product owner. The product owner is ultimately responsible for defining and communicating the product goal and sprint goal. They ensure the sprint goal is clear, valuable, and understood by the Scrum team, as it guides the developers on why they are building the increment. While the developers craft the sprint backlog to achieve it and the Scrum Master coaches on its importance, the product owner sets the vision for the increment. Thinking of the product owner as the visionary who ensures the why of the sprint is clear helps reinforce this responsibility. Question 6. A new Scrum team is struggling to self-organize and often looks to the Scrum Master for direct instructions on what to do. What is the Scrum Master's best approach? A. Assign tasks to team members to ensure work gets done. B. Take over as the team lead to demonstrate proper self-organization. C. Coach the team on self-management principles and facilitate collaborative decision-making. D. Report the team's lack of self-organization to management for intervention. Answer: C. Coach the team on self-management principles and facilitate collaborative decision-making. The Scrum Master's role is not to manage the team or assign tasks, but to serve the team by coaching them towards self-management and continuous improvement. When a team struggles with self-organization, the Scrum Master should provide guidance, facilitate discussions, and remove impediments to their autonomy, rather than taking control. For example, they might teach decision-making frameworks or facilitate discussions around how the team can collectively plan their work. Remember, a great Scrum Master empowers the team to find its own solutions, not just provides them. Question 7. What is the primary artifact used to track the progress toward the product goal? A. Sprint backlog. B. Product backlog. C. Increment. D. Sprint goal. Answer: B. Product backlog. The product backlog is the single source of work to be done by the Scrum team and serves as a living, ordered list of what is needed to improve the product. It represents all known requirements and is continually refined as new information emerges, directly supporting the achievement of the product goal. While the increment is the result and the sprint backlog is the plan for one sprint, the product backlog comprehensively charts the course toward the overarching product goal. Always think of the product backlog as the evolving roadmap for the product's entire journey. Question 8. Who decides when the increment is ready for release? A. The product owner alone. B. The Scrum Master in consultation with stakeholders. C. The developers alone, based on their definition of done. D. The product owner, who may consult with stakeholders and the developers. Answer: D. The product owner, who may consult with stakeholders and the developers. The product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product, which includes deciding when to release the increment. While the developers ensure the increment is done according to the definition of done and the product owner inspects the increment at the sprint review, the ultimate decision to release belongs to the product owner. They typically make this decision in collaboration with stakeholders and the developers, considering market conditions, business value, and technical readiness. The key takeaway is that the product owner acts as the primary business decision-maker regarding product delivery. Question 9. What is the purpose of the sprint review? A. To report team progress to management. B. To inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog if needed. C. To plan the next sprint's work in detail. D. To resolve team conflicts and improve team dynamics. Answer: B. To inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog if needed. The sprint review is a working session where the Scrum team and stakeholders collaborate to inspect the increment produced during the sprint and discuss what was accomplished. This event is crucial for gathering feedback, which then informs adaptations to the product backlog for future sprints. For instance, stakeholders might see a demo and suggest new features or modifications, directly influencing upcoming work. It's a key moment for transparency and adaptation, ensuring the product evolves based on real-time feedback and market needs. Question 10. A Scrum Master notices that the developers are consistently underestimating the effort required for product backlog items, leading to unfinished work at the end of sprints. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Take over the estimation process to ensure accuracy. B. Suggest the team stop estimating and instead just pull work as capacity allows. C. Coach the developers on estimation techniques and encourage more realistic forecasting. D. Mandate that the product owner break down items into smaller pieces. Answer: C. Coach the developers on estimation techniques and encourage more realistic forecasting. The Scrum Master's role involves coaching the team to improve their processes and effectiveness. If developers are consistently underestimating, the Scrum Master should not take over but rather help them improve their skills and understanding of complex work. This might involve facilitating discussions on past performance, introducing techniques like planning poker, or encouraging them to consider known risks. The goal is to empower the developers to become more accurate and confident in their own forecasting, rather than dictating how they should do it. Question 11. Which statement best describes the role of the Scrum Master as a servant leader? A. Directing the team's daily tasks and ensuring compliance with Scrum rules. B. Shielding the team from all external communication and distractions. C. Supporting the Scrum team and its environment by removing impediments and coaching. D. Primarily responsible for the project's budget and schedule adherence. Answer: C. Supporting the Scrum team and its environment by removing impediments and coaching. As a servant leader, the Scrum Master focuses on serving the Scrum team and the wider organization by fostering a supportive environment. This means removing impediments that hinder the team's progress, coaching them on Scrum principles and self-management, and facilitating events effectively. They don't direct or manage the team, instead, they empower the team to be its best. For example, a Scrum Master might mediate a conflict with an external department or coach the product owner on backlog refinement. The essence is enabling others to succeed rather than commanding. Question 12. What is the recommended time box for a sprint planning event for a 1-month sprint? A. 4 hours. B. 8 hours. C. 1 day. D. As long as needed to fully plan the sprint. Answer: B. 8 hours. For a 1-month sprint, the sprint planning event is timeboxed to a maximum of 8 hours. This timebox scales proportionally for shorter sprints. For example, a 2-week sprint would typically have a 4-hour sprint planning. The purpose of a timebox is to provide a maximum duration for an event, encouraging focus and efficiency, ensuring the team doesn't get bogged down in excessive planning. The team must finish their planning within this maximum time, even if it means some details are refined during the sprint. Question 13. What is the purpose of the definition of done? A. To list the tasks required to complete a product backlog item. B. To provide a formal agreement that the product owner has accepted the increment. C. To create a shared understanding of the state of the increment when it meets the quality required for the product. D. To define the scope and goals for the entire product development effort. Answer: C. To create a shared understanding of the state of the increment when it meets the quality required for the product. The definition of done, DOD, is a formal description of the state of the increment when it meets the quality measures required for the product. It ensures transparency and creates a shared understanding among the Scrum team and stakeholders about what done means. For example, a DOD might include items like code reviewed, tested, and integrated. An increment cannot be presented at the sprint review unless it meets the DOD, ensuring consistent quality and a potentially releasable product. Question 14. A Scrum Master notices that the sprint backlog is rarely updated during the sprint, even though the team adapts its daily plan. What should the Scrum Master encourage? A. More detailed upfront planning in sprint planning. B. Regular, informal updates to the sprint backlog to reflect the team's evolving plan. C. Strict adherence to the initial sprint backlog, avoiding any changes. D. Using an external project management tool instead of the sprint backlog. Answer: B. Regular, informal updates to the sprint backlog to reflect the team's evolving plan. The sprint backlog is a highly visible, real-time picture of the work the developers plan to accomplish to achieve the sprint goal. It is a dynamic plan that should be updated frequently by the developers as they learn more about the work, encounter challenges, or adapt their approach. The Scrum Master should coach the team on the importance of this transparency and adaptability. For instance, if a task is completed or a new subtask emerges, the sprint backlog should reflect that. It serves as the developer's evolving plan, not a static commitment. Question 15. Who is accountable for managing the product backlog? A. The Scrum Master. B. The developers. C. The product owner. D. The entire Scrum team collaboratively. Answer: C. The product owner. The product owner is solely accountable for managing the product backlog, including its content, ordering, and availability. While the product owner might delegate some aspects of product backlog refinement to the developers, the accountability for its overall management and value maximization remains with the product owner. For example, they decide the priority of features and ensure the backlog is clear and understood. Think of the product owner as the ultimate decision maker for what goes into the product and in what order. Question 16. What does it mean for a Scrum team to be cross-functional? A. Each team member can perform every task in the sprint backlog. B. The team contains all the necessary skills to create value in every sprint without relying on external dependencies. C. Team members are interchangeable and can be swapped between projects easily. D. The team reports to multiple functional managers across different departments. Answer: B. The team contains all the necessary skills to create value in every sprint without relying on external dependencies. A cross-functional Scrum team possesses all the diverse skills required to create an increment in each sprint without needing to rely on individuals outside the team for core development work. This setup minimizes handoffs, reduces delays, and enhances collaboration and self-management. For instance, a cross-functional team might include developers, testers, UI/UX designers, and database specialists all working together on the same product. This allows the team to deliver an end-to-end piece of functionality independently. Question 17. An impediment arises that the developers cannot resolve on their own. What is the Scrum Master's responsibility? A. To resolve the impediment immediately, even if it requires stepping into a technical role. B. To delegate the impediment resolution to the product owner. C. To ensure the impediment is understood and facilitate its removal by the appropriate party. D. To document the impediment and discuss it only at the sprint retrospective. Answer: C. To ensure the impediment is understood and facilitate its removal by the appropriate party. The Scrum Master's role includes removing impediments that block the developers from achieving the sprint goal. This doesn't mean the Scrum Master fixes every problem themselves, rather, they act as a facilitator and enabler, ensuring the impediment is clearly understood and finding the right people or resources to resolve it. For example, if the team needs a specific software license, the Scrum Master would identify the correct department and help expedite the process. Their focus is on ensuring the smooth flow of work for the team. Question 18. What is the main purpose of sprint goal? A. To define the specific tasks each developer will complete during the sprint. B. To provide a single objective for the sprint, ensuring coherence and focus. C. To list all the features planned for release in the next quarter. D. To estimate the total cost of the upcoming sprint's work. Answer: B. To provide a single objective for the sprint, ensuring coherence and focus. The sprint goal is a single, concise objective for the sprint that provides flexibility in terms of the exact work needed to achieve it. It gives the developers a collective focus and guides them on why they are building the increment. If the scope of the sprint backlog needs to adapt during the sprint goal remains fixed, acting as a guiding star. For instance, a sprint goal might be, enable customers to log in securely, which allows the team to adapt tasks while maintaining the core purpose. Question 19. A new product owner is struggling with ordering the product backlog. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Take over the ordering of the product backlog to ensure it is done correctly. B. Coach the product owner on various value maximization techniques and product backlog management strategies. C. Ask the developers to order the product backlog since they are doing the work. D. Inform management that the product owner is not performing their duties effectively. Answer. B. Coach the product owner on various value maximization techniques and product backlog management strategies. The Scrum Master serves the product owner by helping them find techniques for effective product backlog management, which includes ordering based on value, risk, and dependencies. The Scrum Master's role is to coach and guide, not to take over responsibilities. For example, they might introduce concepts like value stream mapping or techniques for estimating value. Empowering the product owner to excel in their role is a key aspect of the Scrum Master's support. Question 20. What is the role of management in Scrum? A. To direct the Scrum team's work and monitor individual performance. B. To remove organizational impediments and support the Scrum Master. C. To approve all changes to the product backlog. D. To act as external stakeholders and provide detailed requirements. Answer. B. To remove organizational impediments and support the Scrum Master. In a Scrum environment, management's role shifts from traditional command and control to supporting the Scrum teams. This involves creating an environment conducive to self-managing teams, resolving organizational-level impediments that are beyond the Scrum Master's direct influence, and supporting the adoption of Scrum. For instance, management might help in allocating resources or resolving cross-departmental conflicts. Their focus is on enabling the Scrum teams to be effective rather than dictating their daily activities. Question 21. When is the definition of done created? A. It is established during the first sprint planning event. B. It is typically created by the developers during the first sprint and may evolve over time. C. It is provided by the product owner at the start of the project. D. It is dictated by the Scrum Master to ensure consistent quality. Answer. B. It is typically created by the developers during the first sprint and may evolve over time. The developers are primarily responsible for creating the definition of done. This ensures they commit to the quality standards they themselves believe are necessary for the increment. While the product owner and Scrum Master ensure its clarity and adherence, the developers own its content. It's a living document that may evolve and become more stringent as the team matures or the product's needs change. It represents the team's commitment to quality for every increment. Question 22. What is an impediment in Scrum? A. Any task that is challenging for the developers to complete. B. A dependency on an external team or resource that delays progress. C. Anything that slows down or prevents the Scrum team from delivering value. D. A disagreement between team members during a sprint. Answer. C. Anything that slows down or prevents the Scrum team from delivering value. An impediment is any obstacle that hinders the Scrum team's progress in delivering a done increment or impacts their overall effectiveness. This can range from technical blockers, lack of resources, organizational policies, or even unresolved conflicts. For example, a team might be blocked if a necessary server isn't provisioned or if they lack access to a critical system. The Scrum Master's role is to help the team identify and remove these impediments, allowing them to maintain flow and productivity. Question 23. Who is responsible for ensuring that the Scrum team adheres to Scrum theory and practices? A. The product owner. B. The Scrum Master. C. The developers. D. The project manager. Answer: B. The Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide. They do this by helping everyone understand Scrum theory and practice, both within the Scrum team and the wider organization. This includes coaching the team on self-management, facilitating Scrum events, and helping remove impediments to Scrum adoption. Think of the Scrum Master as the guardian and coach of the Scrum framework within the organization. Question 24. Which of the following is not an accountability of the developers in a Scrum team? A. Creating the sprint backlog. B. Ordering the product backlog. C. Adhering to the definition of done. D. Inspecting their progress toward the sprint goal in the daily Scrum. Answer: B. Ordering the product backlog. While developers may collaborate with the product owner on product backlog refinement, and offer technical insights, the product owner is solely accountable for the ordering, prioritization, of the product backlog. The developers are accountable for creating the sprint backlog, adhering to the definition of done, and adapting their plan in the daily Scrum to achieve the sprint goal. It's crucial to remember the distinct accountabilities of each Scrum role. Question 25. What is the purpose of product backlog refinement? A. To assign tasks to developers for the upcoming sprint. B. To update stakeholders on the latest product features. C. To break down and further define product backlog items, adding details, estimates, and order. D. To formally accept completed product backlog items. Answer: C. To break down and further define product backlog items, adding details, estimates, and order. Product backlog refinement is an ongoing activity where the product owner and developers collaboratively add detail, estimates, and order to product backlog items. It ensures that items expected to be done in upcoming sprints are clear, understood, and appropriately sized, making them ready for sprint planning. For example, a large feature might be broken down into smaller user stories, and acceptance criteria might be added. This ongoing process minimizes surprises and improves efficiency during sprint planning.